Shalom, welcome to Ma'oz Israel. On today's program, we continue discussing Israel at war, and we talk about things that you might not know about the situation in Israel and in Gaza and beyond. Stay tuned. Shalom, welcome to Ma'oz Israel. On today's program, we continue our series, Israel at War. We've received a lot of questions from Christians around the world about what is happening in Israel, about the war and the situation in general. So today we'll be discussing things that are not widely covered by media about the war and give some context that also might not be well known. So a lot of people think that Israel is the great oppressor of the Palestinian people in Gaza, but have any of these pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel geniuses ever considered how the people of Gaza actually live? Who supplies their basic necessities for living? Are they living a self-sufficient society, and are they a self-sufficient people group? I think most people would be in shock to know the truth about who sustains the existence of the Palestinian people in Gaza. Most people don't know just how much Israel helps the people of Gaza. Israel provides over 50% of Gaza's electrical needs on a daily basis, with at least 10 electrical lines coming straight from Israel power plants in Israel to Gaza. And guess what? They give it to them for free. Gaza doesn't need to pay anything. They're the sworn enemies of Israel for many decades, way before the war, yet Israel still helps them. Now, during the war, obviously, there are disruptions to Israel's ability to supply the normal amount of electricity and running water, among other things. Hamas destroyed 9 of these 10 power lines in the October 7th attack. And while Israel is still unable to provide electricity to pre-war levels, also due to security reasons, yet Israel is repairing the lines Hamas destroyed and continues to supply electricity to Gaza. Even during the war, Israel continues to provide substantial humanitarian aid to Gaza, including essential supplies such as food, water, medicine, fuel, and building supplies, even in the middle of ongoing rocket attacks by Hamas, targeting Israeli civilians and the holding of over 130 Israelis as hostages. Israel is currently helping bring 1,000 aid trucks into Gaza weekly. Since the Hamas attack on October 7th, 200,000 tons of humanitarian aid has been delivered by over 11,000 trucks, either supplied directly by Israel or facilitated by Israel. So the volume of food deliveries into Gaza has surpassed pre-war levels. Any food shortages that you see now are currently due to Hamas stealing and failing to distribute the aid to its own people in Gaza. 4 tanker shipments of cooking oil enter Gaza daily, which is more than they even had before the war. Israeli forces ensure that Gazan bakeries continue to operate, producing over 2 million pita breads daily, enough for the entire population. So despite reports of mass starvation and that Israel is not allowing food into Gaza, the fact is that people in Gaza have food. So again, I'm listing all these facts to show that before the war and during the war, Israel is continuing to help the people of Gaza. Israel also provides a massive amount of water to the people of Gaza on a daily basis. Before the war, Israel provided hundreds of thousands of Gazans with water. Hamas damaged these pipes on October 7th and has continued to damage the pipes during the war. And yet Israel is repairing these pipes repeatedly because Israel knows the people of Gaza need water. 30 million liters of water have been delivered by Israel through its pipes to Gaza per day since October 28th. And I don't know of any other army on the planet that would provide such massive help to people who are clearly collaborating with their enemies. Israel is certainly not perfect, but they are much more righteous in their dealings to help the least of these, despite the war. On our last program, I mentioned that many people do not know the extent to which civilians in Gaza are involved in the attack on Israel. What many people don't know is that many civilians from Gaza and other countries who have access to hundreds of millions of dollars working with the United Nations, among other international organizations and institutions, have been confirmed to be involved for many years, to have harmed Israel, and to have collaborated now in the October 7th attacks. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant revealed new evidence which is so undeniable it is being accepted even by countries who are hostile to Israel. UNRWA, the United Nations aid agency responsible for the welfare of millions of Palestinians, was in fact directly involved in the atrocities committed by Hamas. Gallant has shown that dozens of UNRWA staff took part in the Hamas October 7th massacre. Gallant says UNRWA is Hamas with a facelift and needs to be replaced. He continues, I think the world needs to wake up and address this issue in a different way, while also addressing Gaza's needs. He continued, UNRWA is a group of terrorists who receive salaries from many countries, and these countries give money to people who raped, murdered, and took other people into captivity. Israel revealed that 6 UNRWA workers were part of the wave of terrorists who breached the Gaza-Israel border and massacred civilians inside of Israel. They helped to kidnap Israelis. 2 others were tracked to sites where hundreds of Israeli civilians were shot and killed. Others acquired weapons and other logistics for the murderous attacks. Among UNRWA employees who were linked to the terror attacks, 7 were elementary or middle school teachers. Unbelievable. Including 2 math teachers, 2 Arabic language teachers, and 1 elementary school teacher. Israel intelligence estimates that around 1,200 of UNRWA's estimated 12,000 employees in Gaza have links to the Iranian-backed Gaza terror groups like Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So that's 10% of their workers in Gaza. So we can see that although many civilians in Gaza are aiding terrorists to kill Israelis, yet Israel is not at war with innocent civilians in Gaza and not trying to kill them intentionally. And as much as Israel haters like Hamas try to paint a picture that Israel deliberately kills babies and children in Gaza, do you know that Hamas knows that Israel loves Palestinian babies and children? Yes. Many people do not know that Hamas knows that Israel loves life and loves babies, even those from Gaza. Israel never embraces the killing of anyone who isn't trying to harm them. It's just a fundamental part of Israeli biblical culture. Israelis love children and babies. Israelis love life. And in fact, Israelis love life so much that we have medical programs to bring children from enemy countries. For example, during the Syrian war, Israel hospitals treated many children who needed medical care. Even in Gaza, where terrorist organizations like Hamas have been planning ways to kill and rape our young children, and even while knowing the hatred festering among the civilian population in Israel, yet despite all this, Israel had ambulances that would take children from Gaza to hospitals in Israel to treat them. I was personally in the hospital in Israel with a family member, and in the bed next to us in the same room was a child and his mother from Gaza. Our family got to know them, and we learned that the child was being treated for the second time in Jerusalem because of his heart issues. So the idea that we would put all this effort as a culture to help children and then turn around and shoot them in Gaza is ridiculous. Are there people who are hurt unnecessarily in Gaza? It's war. It's what happens, but it is not intentional. And Israel goes through extreme lengths to avoid harming those uninvolved with Hamas. Israel uses surgical warfare to try and pinpoint the terrorists while protecting children and babies. Yet Hamas and many Gazan civilians hurt our women and children unnecessarily in Israel. Yes, they do it intentionally. There's the difference. In fact, another thing which people don't know, which is going unreported in many cases, is how widespread it is that Hamas terrorists are using human shields. It is widely known, and there is massive photo evidence to show that when Hamas leaders go out in public, They surround themselves with children because they know that Israel will not attempt to harm them while there are children around. Hamas knows this. They know how much we love children, no matter where they're from. And at the same time, Hamas and pro-Palestinian media declares, look, Israel's committing genocide. They're killing babies in Gaza. They do it for the propaganda that easily fools so many people who don't know the truth. And they spread these lies because they know how much it bothers and hurts us as a culture of life. They know how much we try to protect life, which is why, if it were true, if Israel was really trying to kill babies on purpose, then why are Hamas leaders walking around with children as human shields? It makes no sense. If Israel really hates babies in Gaza, then they would all be targeted, Hamas and the children all together. But they aren't. So when your friends or pastors or so-called Bible teachers or your coworkers or family members come to you and say, oh, Israel's killing babies in Gaza on purpose, I saw it on the internet, then you do a quick search for pictures of Hamas terrorists walking around with children and ask them, well, if Israel likes to harm children, why are these Hamas terrorists walking around in public with children? Wouldn't it make them more of a target? The answer is no. Hamas and other terrorist organizations all know that Israel will do everything it can not to hurt uninvolved people. And when we talk about this level of using human shields, what Hamas does is unbelievable. Israel has found weapons in tunnels in places like mosques and schools and homes. It's estimated that more than half of the houses in Gaza might be hiding weapons. U.S. Secretary Blinken said, if Hamas stopped hiding behind civilians and gave up its weapons, the war could end quickly. Yes, this is our prayer, that the war would end quickly, that Hamas will be defeated, and that the innocent people of Gaza will be delivered from brutal and evil men. And that even in the midst of such hardship, that Israel and the people of Gaza would know the hope that only comes from the Lord. Our prayers for the defeat of our evil enemies in our nation and for the security of our families. And just as we're seeing doors for the gospel opening among our people in Israel, that we would also see supernatural breakthroughs among the people of Gaza. That somehow there would be a new season that we'd be experiencing, which has come upon us now. And while the war is still continuing, you can make an impact like never before in the land of Israel. Ma'oz Israel Ministries is committed to serve people in Israel in every way possible, both physically and in spiritual provision. And as you come along and partner with us with your prayers and financial support, it empowers us to make a difference in the land of Israel. We're Israeli believers in the land of Israel, reaching out to both believers and unbelievers. And with your help, we can make Israel strong in the land. And remember, those who bless Israel shall be blessed. For Ma'oz Israel, I'm Kobe Ferguson. Shalom, shalom.
Join us for the latest news updates, teachings, podcasts, music, and more, straight from the land of Israel to you.
You want to know about what's happening in Israel right now? Do you want to understand biblical truths and understand the rich culture of the people and the land itself, the land of Israel? Then click on the link now and subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn about these things and much, much more. Subscribe now.